So this is a case of what we call the charmed ones. We call them the charmed because it's not only the dentist. She also has other two sisters and a brother. So they have powers. Basically, they when they were young, they were already playing with witchcraft, and they thought that this was normal. They're not doing anything bad. They're not actually practicing black magic. It's really casting spells the way they thought. Probably they watched over television, over movies when they were young, and but they really have powers because they inherited that from their ancestors, and even the mother herself practices it. They're very devout Catholics, mind you, meaning they go to mass, they go to confession, they have their devotions, and they're very devout. But probably they do not see that witchcraft is incompatible with Catholicism. They thought that as long as you're not doing anything bad, or that you are using this power for good, it's okay. So in this case, this dentist uses her ability to be able to detect diseases that may be present in her patients. So before extracting a tooth or doing some kind of oral surgery, she would be able to detect if there are other diseases in the person. That seems to be cool. That seems to be cool, right? You're able to, instead of immediately doing the surgery, you're able to detect if there are other comorbidities in the person that needs to be addressed in order to help the person. That's what she does, and she never thought that that was wrong. But one day, um, something happened to the mother. If I'm not mistaken, they went on a pilgrimage, and on that pilgrimage, something happened to the mother. I think she fell ill, and because of that, they had to bring the mother back to the Philippines and cut the pilgrimage short. But here in the Philippines, when they were trying to revive her because the mother entered into a coma, um, the doctors cannot do anything for her. So they started to go to the what we will call witch doctors, albularios, the local doctors, the local shamans, and not only the local ones, but they also imported overseas, coming from Singapore, for example, uh, thinking that because the doctors could not help her, she would be helped by something else. So they called on this witch doctors to help, but it never really did anything to the person. On the contrary, the mother became worse in her condition. To cut it short, eventually they asked the help of the church, and one priest came, a friend of theirs, but something happened to the priest that made his hair stand up. And when he was about to enter the house, he sensed that there is something in the house, something very negative. So he advised the sisters to go and call the exorcist. That is where now the Archdiocese of Manila Office of Exorcism came into play. One of our lay volunteers went to visit and discovered that actually this family is into this witchcraft, as a way of life. Yes, they're not using it for bad things, but nonetheless, they're still using witchcraft as witchcraft. So one of the conditions for them to be helped by us was they needed to renounce these powers. So not only the demons, but the powers that were given by the demons. The two sisters willingly gave up the power and renounced it, went to confession, renounced it, all for the sake of the mother. But the other sister uh, made her renouncement of the demon, but not of the powers. She thought that she can retain powers, but get rid of the demon. And so when she made her renouncement, it meant that it was half-hearted. It was not really full of a full surrender to the power of God. Then one day, according to the story, that she herself and her staff said that one day, suddenly the dental chair elevated and threw itself on the wall. And this, of course, opened the eyes of the dentist that she must have done something really that made the demon very, very angry, doing this retaliation. So she came back to us and asked for help. And of course, that is where we discovered that no, her renouncements were all half-hearted. And of course, the demon will retaliate because the power and the demon are one and the same. The demon gave the power, and you're renouncing it, and then you want to retain the power. Of course, the demon will retaliate. It's only when she totally surrendered herself to God, repented for what she did, that eventually normality came into her life. She made her consecration to God, and that started the conversion story. Now, the one of the mother, of course, is another thing because it would take some time for the mother to be healed. Eventually, the mother got healed too, but it was a whole family matter that caused this thing, because they, being charmed ones, they thought that it's cool to have powers. Who would not, right? Because if you will be watching, like this 90s famous television show, The Charmed Ones, people wanted to have that kind of power, like to be like good witches, but there ain't such a thing as a good witch. So because the power never comes from God, and if the power never comes from Almighty God, then it will always have something in return. The devil does not give for free. There's always something in return. You may not be aware of it at the beginning, but eventually, as one gets deeper, deeply involved into witchcraft, the more the devil has hold on the very life of the persons using that kind of power. I have encountered another case like similar to this one. Seemingly, Catholics think that as long as you're not doing, you're using the power um, in a positive way, it's not bad. So there might be those who already have them coming from their families, or they wanted to have them by doing some rituals or joining certain esoteric groups for that purpose. Is it prevalent? I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. But I have encountered really professionals in a very real sense, not teachers, science teachers for that matter, science teachers teaching in a science school, special science school that has this kind of power. And of course, there are also those coming from Catholic schools, Catholic universities. I have encountered those kind of cases. So it's really um, how statistically prevalent it is, I don't have any idea, but I have encountered real professionals, highly educated people with PhDs, with medical doctors as well, nurses who practice this kind of things. So yeah, there you go. Although I have encountered people who, even though highly educated, and you would catechize them and tell them the negative effect of this, they would reject it. For them, their philosophy or their point of view is that as long as they're not hurting anyone, it's good. That's how it is. So this is, I think, what is always problematic. Our understanding of evil is so black that we do not see that the evil can mask itself to appear good. So it's black and white. It's too distinct, the black and the white, forgetting that there is something in the middle that can pretend to be white but actually is dark. So I have encountered these kinds of people as well. The stubbornness, precisely the stubbornness is there. So whether they be lawyers, whether they be doctors, you think that they would be more open-minded, scientifically speaking, right? But that they have this kind of desire to have this kind of special powers, it just shows you that it's not simply lack of catechesis. It's really coming from within a desire for power. That's what it is. Because if one comes from you tell them this one for people who are simple folks, simple Catholics, you tell them that these superstitious objects that they put on a child who has just recently been baptized is not approved by the church and it is a superstitious belief, they will still continue using it. So you have already told them about it. You already catechized them. You have given them the reason for it, but they don't want to listen because for them, nothing, they will not lose anything if they follow this. So that is always the mentality. We have in Filipino what we call wala namang mawawala, which means I lose nothing in following this. But actually, you lose everything because in at the back of the following of any superstitious practices is fear. And once there is fear, then there is no trust in God because you fear that if you will not use these objects, you will you will get bad luck. That's how it is. So whether simple folks or educated folks, it's all the same. It's not so much catechesis because catechesis is you teach and it comes into their mind and they understand. But what even if you tell them that and they do not want to accept, then it's just really lack of faith in what the church teaches regarding these things. So the experience of people about the occult, the experience of people of the unknown is prevalent. And they want just simply to be assured that at least if their faith in God does not work, at least there's something that might work. And these trinkets, charms, etc., etc., etc. If you're talking about power coming from Almighty God, that's not how it works. And power coming from Almighty God would always require from us a conversion of heart. Because if God gives us some kind of special gift, the intention is always to build the church and to help us grow in holiness. That is always there. But here, when you talk about the power coming from evil spirits, there is no desire for holiness. There is no desire for greater love of God. It's always making yourself the center of it all. So it's my gift. This is what is given to me. This is my gift. I have this power. It's always like that. I have this power. I have this gift. Rather than pointing to the giver himself, who is God, a person that is given by an evil spirit, a power, will always focus on that. And eventually, a well known healer, a well known uh, person who can protect you from evil spirits, etc., etc., etc. Demonic powers are addicting. And the Catechism of the Catholic Church really tells us precisely that. What is the purpose of occult powers? It is to uh, to have control, to have control of things, and that is precisely what it is.